I was homeschooled all the way up until 8th grade, all the way until I went to high school. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to a very special video. Today I want to talk about something that is a big part of my early life, and I haven't really opened up about it too much on the channel. Now, it's not because I'm nervous about it or anything like that, but I just haven't happened to mention it. It used to be something that weighed on me a little bit more. I used to care a lot more about it. Now I don't care about it at all. And I'm hoping that by opening up about this subject of being homeschooled all throughout middle school, I hope that it can help a bunch of different types of people. Parents who are considering homeschooling their children for maybe their entire education or maybe a part of their education, kids who are currently being homeschooled and are going to continue being homeschooled or are considering switching over to public school like I did, and also people who are in public school and are interacting with someone who is or was homeschooled because you don't understand it and maybe you don't want to be mean to that person, but you just naturally have always been judgmental. So hopefully this can shed some light on the whole factor of being homeschooled. So this is what I plan to do. I plan on giving you guys some context, explaining the story itself so you can understand my whole situation, and then I plan on giving you guys the pros and cons, and hopefully that can wrap this up into a video with good information in it and some good anecdotal, opinions. So I grew up in a relatively religious home, no cussing, no hip hop, no MTV. I wasn't able to watch Harry Potter because there was witchcraft, that kind of stuff going on, so it was a relatively kind of sheltered lifestyle, and my parents were concerned, I believe, with me going into the public schooling system just because on their head they both had a child before, and they felt like public school was either mean and is bad and it kind of tore the person down, or it would mold you into a more earthly person, who's doing bad things and is willing to do drugs and go drink and go into parties and stuff. So they were concerned about school being a bad influence on me. They wanted to homeschool me to make sure that my education was strong and I was actually getting smarter, but also to keep me out of bad situations. Again, no opinion yet. I'm just telling you guys what happened. We'll get to opinions later. I started school, just like everybody else did when you were like, shoot, I don't actually really even know, like 5 or 6. Whenever you start school with first grade or kindergarten or preschool, whatever that was, I forget. I just remember watching Arthur in the morning. Every morning after Arthur, I would have my bagel, my cottage cheese, my fruit, and a glass of orange juice or milk, and then I would start school. For me personally, I knew there was public school. Like, I wasn't unaware that people generally would go to school together, and homeschooling was the not norm because I was on a soccer team at the time. I would see my friends who were all public schooled on my team about 3 or 4 times a week, so I would know what was going on and stuff. I just wasn't public schooled. Everybody knew it. I was homeschooled. It wasn't really something that I ever thought about because I was all I really knew. So I went on and on throughout the grades, and for me personally, homeschooling was really good because I'm a task-based driven person. So when there was a task in front of me, I would just complete it, and then my day was over and I would continue. I got through my 5 subjects. I would continue, go over, watch Arthur, wake up and go over again. Just keep doing it over and over again. Now, my only access to outside people were my soccer team, like I just told you, and then church. So I would go to church on Sundays. I would see those kids on Sundays, and then there was something on Wednesdays, which was like kind of like a Boy Scout thing for church people, and so I would see those kids there. Again, I wouldn't say that this was full public because people that are at that church that I was going to were they weren't the people you were gonna meet at your high school. They were kind of the weird kids at your high school. So my social development was kind of taking these detours. I was hanging out with like this weird group of people who were like very niche-y, and then I was hanging out with this soccer group of people who were very niche-y. Again, we're always joking around, making jokes about everything, and then I'd go home, and then that was my family life, which was of course a lot more serious. I wasn't able to make butt jokes or wiener jokes at 12 years old or whatever. But anyways, I just kept going on, and about 7th grade, 6th grade, something like that, I remember this one day, me and my mom walked down to McDonald's, and I remember, whatever reason, it just, in my head, I was just like, dude, you know what? I need to go to school. Like, I love people. Like, I really enjoy my friends that I know at soccer, and I enjoy talking to them and stuff and learning things, but I want to go to school and experience the plethora, the scary horizon that I want to crest. I want to meet, all those cool people. I want to meet more soccer kids who are into the thing that I'm into, but I also want to meet those bad kids, those bullies that I'm supposed to be afraid of. I want to meet those kids who are sketchy, those kids who have drugs on them and are skating and whatever the stigma was that I thought at the time. I didn't have, I mean, come on, I didn't know anything. I thought, smoking cigarettes was crazy bad. I thought weed was like doing heroin. I was like, no way, man. That person smokes weed. Like, holy crap. Little did I know, literally, almost the entire school was smoking weed. It's like crazy, man. Everyone on my soccer team, like I'd say about half the team at the time, and we were only like 14, 13, something like that right before high school. Yeah, like half of them were doing it. So it's crazy, like what you think versus what's really going on. Anyways, at McDonald's that one day, I remember I was just like, hey, Mom, I think I want to go to school. I don't really know how to do it, where we're gonna go, but I want to go to school, and it's gonna be a little crazy, but I'm gonna do it. And she was like, are you sure you wanna do it? And it took me a bit because I was like, damn, I'm gonna go into school, I'm gonna know nobody, I'm gonna have no friends, brand new place. But I was like, whatever, let's do it. So I remember my parents like didn't want me to go to the high school I was supposed to because it was in the district. It was like in my district or whatever, it was like a bad high school in their opinion. So I went to this other high school. It's so funny, like they were just so concerned about me, and I appreciate that so much, man. That's good parenting that they were so concerned about me. So it was decided after that summer I was going to high school, and I skipped 8th grade. That was something I thought was kind of weird. I was in 7th grade and then I skipped over 8th grade to jump into high school. So I not only skipped the 8th grade, but I was also going into a school I've never known anyone at or anything. So the first day comes around after summer, I do my orientation, and I literally just know one person. I remember Corey B, man, Corey B from my soccer team. That was the only person I knew. I hung out with him during the orientation, and I was just like, damn, this is so many people, this is crazy. And the thing that I knew also was like after the orientation, like, see ya, Corey, because we're gonna have different classes, so like I'm not gonna know anybody again. And then the first day of school comes around, maybe like 3 weeks after orientation, and I got all my classes, I go to my first class, and I just don't know anybody. I sit down next to this there's just an open seat right next to this guy. His name was Kevin Velasco, man. I remember him. He was so cool, man. He was one of those guys who you'd look at and you'd be like, oh, that's one of those goth kids or those emo kids. But he ended up being one of my best friends in high school, man, and that was really cool. What I found with high school was that there were certain people who were very judgmental, and there were certain people who were not judgmental at all. There were certain people who just didn't care that you were the jock and I'm the goth guy. Like, we were friends. Like, it didn't matter even a little bit. And I think that first relationship, that first friendship, having Kevin in my first class, it really gave me that positive, like that silver lining. Because if I didn't have somebody that I just meshed with immediately in my first class or my first day or whatever, it would have been real rough, you know? Because I ended up hanging out with Kevin, meeting his friends, meeting their friends. Now I'm making my own friends. Now I have my second group. Now I have my third group. Now I have 3 different people that I like to hang out with, you know, all throughout lunch. And now I've like met all these, you know what I'm saying? It was really nice to have Kevin be a buddy of mine, because it could have been a lot different. Anyways, first year and second year, I had my long hair. I was 6 foot or so, 6'1", getting there, and I was 130 pounds. So I was very skinny with long curly hair in this large helmet afro style thing. My style of social interaction was very different. Obviously, I had been molded from this like church, soccer, homeschool style. So I had this very kind of like twisted, weird, oh, internet, by the way, also. That was a huge part of my comedy. It was like 4chan and bodybuilding.com mix. So I had this very weirdly manipulated style of like comedy and just interacting with people. I just wasn't sure what the norm was, so I just didn't know how to do it. So the first year was relatively rough, man. A lot of people were making fun of me. I made some good friends. You know, I met a couple people. I didn't find my niche. I didn't find who I was or where I wanted to be or what my like little rivet was or anything. Everything was just so nerve-wracking because I was just so new to it. It was all so new to me. Second year, got a little bit better. I started to really see who my friends were. You know, I was like, okay, this guy's my buddy. Oh, Ian's here from my soccer team. He's 1 year younger than me. Now he's in my high school. And I was starting to catch my drift towards the end of sophomore year, and then beginning of junior year. That's when I really decided who I was gonna be. I started weight training. I met a couple of homeboys in the weight training class. We were all kind of like swole buddies. I started working out. That was when I started working out, about 15, I believe. And the working out, honestly, is what changed me, because I was not only able to physically be respected, you know, I started getting bigger than everybody else, including the football team. So it's like, you just naturally have a sort of respect when you talk to someone who's physically dominating. And I'm not saying that in like a bragging type of way. I'm just saying like that helped me out a lot. But also like it helped me with my confidence, because I was like, I can do things. You know, I want to hit that on bench, and I did it. After 3 weeks, I was able to do that. I can do things. You know, if I want to be on a soccer team, I can do that. You know, if I want to talk to that person, I can do that. You know what I'm saying? So it started giving me a feeling of like completion, of being able to succeed at things. By the end of junior year, I thought I knew exactly who I was and where I wanted to be. I was a bit of a douche. I definitely agree with that. My like perspectives and stuff were a little bit off. They weren't quite so open-minded as I am now. Definitely not, actually. They're very close-minded. I don't really appreciate who I was back then, like in terms of if I met me back then, I would probably be like, come on, bro, you gotta stop calling these people out. You gotta stop being mean to those people because they do that. Or like, just Stop doing that stuff. Be nice to everybody. I didn't have the wherewithal, the maturity of mind to know how to act. Senior year, I really started to get my grips. I knew who I was tired of high school. I was like, all right, I've done this, I understand it, I know how this all works. I've met my friends, I have my cliques, I have my best friends, I have my good friends, I have my acquaintances who I'm gonna be like, oh, we're gonna talk forever, and then you won't talk to them again, you just read them in the yearbook, you know, they signed it and stuff. But yeah, by the end of senior year, I felt like I had a good bearing of who I am, and over the last 4 years, you know, throughout college and then after college and whatnot, I have really developed into the person that I wanted to become, and I think that's generally how it works. High school, you start to get your bearings, you don't really know, you experience some life, you find out how you want to, you know, interact with life and people, you start really appreciating what your goals are in life and what you want to do with life, and then it becomes a lot easier to be you instead of questioning who you are all the time, kind of trying to find out who your identity is. So there you go, a little bit long, but there's a brief history of my high school career, my high school life. If you want me to go into like a super long video one day, I will. I'll go into it for like an hour and explain every little detail, my first kiss and my first dance and all that crazy stuff, trying to figure out all that stuff, first time doing drugs, all that crazy stuff. But I just wanted to give you guys the story so you understand where I came from, and then you can understand these pros and cons a little bit more. So first off, for pros, I want to go for pros first with this homeschooling thing. With the pros, I would say definitely a pro of being homeschooled is taking out that social distraction. I would say distraction, because when I was starting school, what I would do is the first day I started school, it was 2 + 2 = 4. Now it's, you know, 10 divided by 2. Now it's 5. You know what I'm saying? Like I just did the task that was ahead of me. I did my homework. I got older. It got harder. But there was nobody around me to be like, oh man, you shouldn't do your homework. Let's go get Mexican food and jump the fence, bro, and watch the girls swim or something. You know what I'm saying? Like there would have been people saying things like that. And probably at the time I would have been like, nah man, I'm good, I'm gonna work. Because that's just generally how I was brought up, is to work really hard. But I'm just saying that that is a distraction that is very presentable all throughout elementary, middle school and whatnot, where I missed that. It was just me and my mom and my sis, so it was just like, I'm gonna work, get an A on this. If I don't complete it and do well, then I can't finish today, so I'm just gonna keep doing it. So like some days I would go till like 5 p.m. writing an essay, trying to get it perfect, and I would always get an A because I was always pushing forward. And by the way, they were graded, my like important things, they were graded by a school system, not by my mom. She would only like grade like the small things, like small assignments, but then the real things were graded by real people. So I always tried to be good and I always tried to do the best I could. Another pro that kind of relates to that one is just because I was so determined and I was so undistracted, it built discipline in me even before I started weightlifting, which is really where I got my discipline. But it started building that like kind of like do something and then be rewarded when you try really hard and succeed at it. Put your time into it, it sucks, get through it, it's done and you're happy. It built that like reward system and discipline system for me. And when I got into high school, it was so snappy and easy to get that stuff done. Another pro that's kind of related to the first two, because I knew my smarts, my book smarts, when I got to high school, my freshman year, like I went through my first like 4 months and I was just like, this is so easy. I was like, are you guys seriously having trouble with this? Like, you don't know how to do like the slope and stuff? You know, y = mx + b? You don't know this stuff? And they were like, yeah, no, like, but how do you know this? And I was just like, oh, I'll teach you. You know, like it wasn't a big deal. And that was because I was able to concentrate for the first 8 years or whatever so much harder than everybody else. I'd say another pro of being homeschooled was that because I was so limited to the amount of people that I was, you know, interacting with, my friends and whatnot, I really valued and appreciated my friends a lot more than maybe some people have. Meaning that I didn't have so many friends, I didn't have so many options. So when I was able to, when I was blessed enough to have my friend come over or something like that, or go to my friend's birthday party, something like that, I was yes, this is so cool, man. It's cool to have these people who care about me as much as I care about them, and then we go out and we like go eat dirty food, Mountain Dew, and we laugh, and it's so much fun. We play Halo 1, Halo 2, things like that. Like, it made me appreciate them so much more. Instead of having 35 friends, instead of being the popular kid and trying to do that, what I did was I just had like, these 3 people are my friends, and now I have to go to the school and try to make other friends. But these are my friends. Like, when I get done in the end of the week hating my life and I'm nervous and stuff, on the weekend I get to go kick it with my homeboys and play Halo. You know what I'm saying? So it built that appreciation, and I still hold that appreciation to this day. The people who are my friends are very valuable people to me. Very valuable and irreplaceable people. You know what I mean? It's not like I just have some people I interact with because they're local or close to me or something. It's people who have very deeply become part of my life, very threaded into my life. The rest of the pros are pretty obvious to you. You know, if you're a parent or something, you might be worried about your kids doing drugs or getting into bad things or staying out late or lying to you or being influenced by other kids with worse parents or whatever the situation is. It was definitely easier for my parents to have me sheltered, and you would see a lot more of what was going on and understand where I was, and you'd always know what I was doing. So it was a lot easier to raise me like that, I believe. And I think that would be a pro for those looking to homeschool their children. Now let's go into the cons. Now the cons, I feel like there are so many of them, and they are dependable on the person. Now obviously the number one that I know you guys are already thinking is social interaction, friends. The ability to actually speak to other people in public, whether or not they are your friends, just interact with people. Your social skills are so dampened when you go to homeschool, when you're homeschooling and you don't see all these people who are interacting with people on a daily basis. When you do that daily basis interaction, no matter what it is, high school, YouTube, your job, whatever it is, it builds you into being able to really interact with anybody in public because it's all so spontaneous and random. It makes you a very good social speaker. It makes you good at interacting, usually. When you're homeschooled, I feel like on average, it makes most people a bit awkward, socially awkward in interactions. And I was that way. I was so damn awkward. And now you'll see me and you'll be like, damn, dude, Brian's like such a good social speaker. He can talk to people on camera. He can, you know, meet people or whatever. And he's such a nice guy and it seems like everything's so natural to him. And I'm not bragging or nothing like that. I'm just saying though, I was not like that before. When I was in high school and stuff, I really had to struggle to be able to be normal to people, have people have a good impression on me the first time they met me. But because of my style of person, me being a social butterfly as well as a competitive person, it was a challenge for me to be good with people, and it was also interesting for me to learn why people interact certain ways, how they do it, you know, where and why and when, everything. Just figure out the information of people. I love breaking down anything, especially learning people. So for me, it was good because I just forced myself into becoming a social butterfly, and I had the advantage of being book smart. Another con of being homeschooled is that people make fun of you immediately. It doesn't matter if you're the nicest person, you're the coolest person, you give everybody $100 as soon as you walk into the class. You are homeschooled. That guy's homeschooled. You see that guy in the red shirt? He's homeschooled. He was homeschooled all the way up until he came here, dude. Yeah, he's a weirdo. You see what I'm saying? That's I'm not even being mean. I'm not even exaggerating. That's exactly what kids will say. That's exactly what kids did say. And at first, it can be very painful. I mean, just like anything, if you're obese, or you have acne, or if you have a disfiguration, if you have something going on with your, whatever, your eye, your nose, your teeth, whatever, people will talk bad about you, and it's hard at first, and you get used to it, and then you work with it, or you work against it, and then it becomes harder. But that's definitely something you'll have to face, is people talking about you being homeschooled. You're the homeschooled kid. And that leads me into my next con. The con is essentially no one is really gonna know you. You're gonna go into high school and not knowing anybody, because everyone else went to elementary and middle school together because they all lived in the same places. So they go to this district, and then they go to this district, and so they all go together. They're like, oh yeah, I went to Rio Seco, now I'm at West Hills. Hey, what's up, bro? You were in my this class, that class, and everyone's got their friends, right? So that's a con, is you're gonna come in there with no friends. No friends. You're gonna have to make new friends, and it's scary and it's rough, and you're not gonna make the right friend immediately. Usually you're gonna have to work through a couple friends and decide, you know, this kid's actually not that good for me. It was just like the first person who was talking to me. And you're gonna have to, I mean, start over, but really start fresh, like the first time. It's like the first time you ever do anything. Shoot, I remember I would lie to kids because they would say, hey, what school did you go to? I've never seen you before. Where'd you go? Where'd you come from? And I would just be like, oh, I came from a charter school, or I came from a private school. And they'd be like, which one? And I'd be like, oh, you know, and I'd make something up. Or I would just be like, oh, you've probably never heard of it. And it'd give me a couple seconds, and I'd be like, oh yeah, it's a Father Segura private school for the wicked. I would just make stuff up, straight up, and then kids would believe me, and I would get away with not having to tell people I was homeschooled. I was definitely very closed off about talking about being homeschooled back then, because I knew what would happen. The consequence of talking about it was people would just immediately mark you as a weirdo. So I was just like, I'm private school, bro. I was just private schooled. I'm here now, though. One of the last cons I want to mention, and there's so many more pros and cons, but I just want to mention a few briefly because I know this video is getting a little bit long. But if you are going into high school, or really school at all, from being homeschooled, you're going to be taught in a different way than you're used to. So if your parents or whoever it is that's teaching you teaches you like this and attends to you this way, you're gonna go into that public math class and you're gonna want that teaching, but you're gonna get Mr. Bowden teaching you however the hell Mr. Bowden wants to teach you. If he wants to teach you by telling you all these car analogies about these car magazines and stuff and how that relates to math, and that's how you're gonna have to adjust and learn. So one of the things that you're gonna have to deal with is understanding and manipulating, I would say manipulating, just learning how to interact with teachers, different types of adult people who you don't usually have to, usually when you're homeschooled, you just deal with your adults or your parents, like your coaches maybe, but you don't have to deal with these teachers. But teachers, I'm telling you, man, half of school is learning how to interact with certain type of people and satisfy their way of life or whatever. So if someone wants, if in this math class he wants you to turn your page in stapled with a staple facing down with your name on the right top corner and the date on the top left, or you get failed, then you're gonna have to remember that, and you're gonna have to learn how to deal with someone who's kind of a bit of a dick. And that's good. That is so good, because maybe your mom isn't a dick and you don't have to learn how to interact with people in real life. But when you interact with these types of teachers, when you get to real life and you have a boss who's a dick and he wants you to sign your clients up in a certain way on a sheet, or he won't let you work there, he won't let you work those clients, you're gonna have already dealt with it. You see what I'm saying? Dealing with good and bad teachers is good because you learn how to interact with good and bad people. You learn things education-wise and you learn how to interact with these people socially. So overall, I don't actually have a general answer on whether I think homeschooling is good or bad. I feel like each person is different and each person will take it differently. My sister was homeschooled and I was homeschooled, and we were both homeschooled the same way, but I would say the way that we came out is much different. And I'm not saying that either of us are better people. We're both doing very interesting things in two different fields, but the way we socially are, the way our personalities are so much different. We reacted so much different to being homeschooled. And that's just something that you're gonna have to consider if you're a parent, if you're in homeschooling, if you're deciding whether to go to public school or not. You're just gonna have to understand that it's gonna be different for every single person. And you're just gonna have to try your hardest, be your best, and try to be happy, because really, like, all the stuff that's gonna come down to in high school, all that like drama and stuff, it's not gonna matter 4 years from now. I don't talk to any persons from my high school anymore, man. I talk to a couple of them. And most people, I'm just like, man, you used to talk crap about me, but like now you're working at the DMV. Like, and that's not a bad thing either. It's not like, you know, oh, like you're working here or there. But it's like, it's just funny that certain people will make you feel like, oh, dude, you're such a weirdo. I'm gonna be a CEO of Geico. And then you find out later that the same person talking the most crap about you is not actually moving along that great. You're moving along a lot faster. Okay, so this was a long video. I'm sorry, I did not structure this right in my head. I just wanted to talk, and I just did. I just let it all out. So I hope you guys enjoyed coming with me on this story, kind of living through my brief high school story with being homeschooled all the way up until high school, how it affected me while I was going through high school. My pros, my cons. Hopefully this brought you some insight if you were considering anything like we were talking about before. And I would love to hear what you guys have to say about homeschooling. Do you think it is a good thing or a bad thing? And have you interacted with people who were homeschooled before? And what was your interaction like? Were they good people? Were they weird? Like, did they fill the stereotype that homeschoolers are weird? Was it all right? What? I just want to hear what you guys have to say about it. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give it the blue thumbs up. You'll see that right under the video right there. Give me a subscribe and leave me a comment if you're not following me on Instagram. That is Thicksaw Tight. Snapchat is Brian Turner, BrianTurner. And if you're not following me on Periscope, make sure you follow me. It is Beyond the Week. Watch us live stream all the time. Thank you guys for joining me for another video. I appreciate it. I will see you on Wednesday for another Awakening Hercules. Team Beyond the Week. CT.
Lift heavy or die, MIRIN, motherfucker.